Today we're going to review mandala art and a few different ways to create mandalas. Now I have a whole bunch in front of me. Some of them were working with squares, some of them like this one and this one here. I was working with a 8-part mandala, and that's what I'm going to go over with you in this video. I just kind of snuck this one in because it was a little bit more geometric. These were some little mini ones I had been playing around with earlier. I also have this older one here that I believe I transferred onto a bowl at one point. We are going to be eventually transferring your intricate design onto your slab bowl. And then we're going to be using underglaze to actually paint in really detailed and bright colors. And I'm sure you all have different ideas. And I really want to give you 2 techniques to use when creating these. One of them is a little bit more free flow, and the other one's a little bit more technical. And I'll show you on these 2 first. So this one right here is more of a free flow. All I did was go in, create certain lines going across. On this one, however, I went in and I actually made a whole bunch of circles so that in between each ring, you can decide whether you want to branch out or whether you want to create a different pattern in each ring itself. Personally, I prefer this way because I'm a little bit more of a free flow artist, but I know some people are a little bit more technical, so I did want to go over that way as well. So to start your mandala, no matter which one you're going to be doing, you're going to take your sheet of paper and you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a ruler, you're going to need a compass. You're also going to need some pencils and pens, whether it be a Sharpie or a ballpoint pen, whatever you feel you want to go in and draw your mandala with, that is totally fine. We're just going to go first and make an X on our paper, going from corner to corner. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw a pretty light line going through. You don't want to make them super dark. We are going to be actually transferring them onto the bowl, and the lines won't really matter, but you know, sometimes they'll confuse you with the integrity of your design. So I wouldn't go too dark. I would just kind of graze your pencil along. I'm making maybe a little bit darker in this video just so you could see. So once I have my 4 areas right here, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to cut through with my ruler the center point. Now try to line this up as straight as you can. If you are very mathematical and want to go in and measure that exactly, feel free. But I like to do it nice and simple. Go in, drag my pencil down, flip it, and then drag my pencil down again. And this is going to give me 8 sections to then go around and use to start developing my mandala. Now, if you wanted to add in circles like this, you could add in a whole bunch, or you can just add in maybe 1 or 2 to kind of act as a little bit of a guide to help you along the way. The way we're going to do that is we're going to be using these compasses, and I like using these because they're kind of fun. It gives you a really good idea of exactly where your lines are going to be. The one thing you want to do first, though, before you go ahead in and use the compass, is you're going to want to tape down your paper. If you don't tape down your paper first, your compass is going to kind of want to go awry on you, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to use, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So you're going to need 2 pencils to use these compasses, one of them to hold down the center, and one of them to use to actually make the circles. So I'm going to line that up approximately. Usually you can see the point. And all right, I'm going to say that's pretty good. And you can just go in and you can count if you want to, or you can feel free to just go at random with this. And you want to make sure you're holding this very steady. And then I'm just going to go in. Sometimes you'll have to like let it go a little bit. Maybe I'll go in and I'll add one out here. So you could just add a few. I recommend maybe adding like 2. I find that it helps me a little bit with guiding me along. But if you feel like you have done mandalas before and you want to go that more freeform route, feel free. So I'm just going to draw in a few. And the size doesn't matter. You could always say also that you want to go in and draw another line. You can also want to erase a line later on if you're not too thrilled with it. So just to review the few ways to start. Number 1, you can start like this. Number 2, you can start by forming the 8 pieces and then drawing some circles in it. Now on this one particularly, I went in and I used each individual circle as a different piece. So I kind of started to fit it and piece it together. However, if you want to experiment with a bunch of different patterns, you totally can. The whole idea behind a mandala is radial design, meaning it starts in the center and it radiates outward. Because you have circles on the page, it's going to naturally do that if you have that repetition of pattern going over and over. So now to go in and start your mandala. I am going to give you guys in class a whole bunch of handouts on common shapes used in mandalas. If you want to just kind of look at them, grab some ideas here and there. But these are really free form. They're meant to be relaxing when you're creating them. You know, if you feel like you're halfway through one and you're not really happy with it, always feel free to start fresh. Now, some people like starting with pencil. However, I like starting with marker. I feel like it's easier and I'm able to see a lot more of what I'm doing. So commonly, the center is started with a floral type shape. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to make all these little petals. And start with something like that. And from there, the mandala will start. So you could start deciding what you want to do. I think I want to just make another loop here and bring it out a little bit more. And there are so many different designs you can do. A lot of traditional mandala designs, whether they're rooted in Buddhist culture, whether they are, you know, just common designs used in Zentangle art. And I'm going to go in and I like to kind of use a lot of flowers, more like geometric triangles, and sometimes a little bit of like a flowy leaf pattern. So I think that's what I'm going to start to do here. And you can use all of your lines to get a nice even result. So I'm going to go from this line to this line, and I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to start to create a petal. I'm going to untape this because I do like to rotate my paper as I go. I think it just makes it a lot easier. And I could have put a line in here because right now I'm kind of guesstimating it, but that's okay. I find personally freeform is a little bit more my style. All right. So now I have a little flower that's starting. We're going to want to, however, fill these in with a lot of details. Now we are going to be painting these, so keep that in mind, but I really want to challenge you guys to get a lot of interesting creative things going on. A lot of line work in mandalas, a lot of dots, petals, lines, and I just kind of like to start flowing with it. So I'm gonna go in, and because we are going to be applying color to these, the black and white shading won't matter so much. If you do want to use like just one color underglaze, I suppose that the positive and negative space would really play into that. But for this demo, I'm going to kind of show you that, but feel free to think about your color scheme that you want to use. And I'm sorry that my voice is a little raspy right now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and just do these little loops. It's a common thing used in mandala art, and it's just like one little extra that really starts to bring it together. And with your mandalas, try not to think too much about it. I feel like when people start like, you know, really being like, ooh, should I have done this? Should I have done that? It starts to just become not as enjoyable. So while I am printing out things to show you guys, you know, kind of if you're lost for an idea, maybe reference those designs and, you know, they might help you out along the way. So I'm going to go in now and I'm going to start to mix this up a little bit. I want to go in now with probably more of a circular shape. So let's see. Let me go. First, let's go up here. We'll make a little bit of a point. And we're going to be putting these on tracing paper later on. So if you do happen to make a mistake or two on here, that's okay. We could always adjust it when we go ahead to do that. And I'm going to start to make, I don't know, like some little bubbles there. Let's start something like that. And I could sit here and draw mandalas all day. I'll probably be demoing a lot of them in class until I decide exactly what one I want to use on my demo bowl. I want to try to only do one demo bowl so I can actually finish a piece, because I know that's one thing that I always struggle with, is finishing a final demo in class. So I'm going to go through here now, and I feel like I want to get a different shape in. Let's do maybe something going out that way. I like that, because then I'm able to start to put in some line work, and I find that that's really pretty. I like how that's working out. And I could go in at all the sections like this, and I could start doing that. And because I do have my circle here, I was able to line that up really nicely. So I just have 5 pieces going towards the center. Another one. And this might be something when I go in with my underglaze that I would paint every other one a different color. You know, maybe you could do certain sections. You know, say you were working with blues, like a darker blue and a lighter blue. There's so many possibilities. We have so many pretty underglazes that just came in class. So I'm so excited to go in and create these mandala bowls. So I started something like that. And even though this was my 8-point mandala, it kind of started to go a little bit into a square, but that's okay. I'm going to start to bring that out again. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to now go in and make a petal design. And I'm going to go from here to here. And you could see I used that line and I was able to connect it to that circle. I have a few mandala videos and I might make another one if I don't like this one, but I'll probably still post it just so that you guys have it. And it's kind of like just keep rotating, making sure that you really pay attention to what you're doing, but also, you know, that you're staying relaxed. This is not meant to not be an exercise that's going to really stress you out or anything. So make sure you're not getting too stressed out over it. Sometimes I'll like to go in and start to add like little fun loops like this. You might see some things like this on the sheet. And they start to bring a lot of design in as well. And I think that the more detail you add in, just like the more interesting they are. When working with marker, it's a lot easier to get in all of the details than it might be with a paintbrush later on. So I encourage you guys to come up with a really intricate design. We may have to go in and alter it a little bit later on if you feel like the detail and the overlap isn't going to work always with your design. But like I said, I always encourage you guys to really go above and beyond with your drawings, because you could always take a little bit away, and you could also always go and add a little bit of extra in. So I'm going to take a look at what I have now. And I'm going to see kind of what I could put in here next. I think I might go in and start to do some of those little bubbles again. These are super, super popular. They really bring together that traditional mandala design. And I think that they're nice because they're going to be really easy to paint in a shape like this. And I have my new little camera set up here, so I'm kind of excited about that. And we'll do a few more. So I hope you guys can see how these circles do help a little bit when you're forming your mandala. I would maybe recommend putting in at least 2 of them to act as guides. But like I said, if you do want to create something where you're solely doing a different pattern in each ring, this could be really exciting as well. I'm going to now take this and I'm going to form a diamond. Little diamond-esque shape. And you could see I'm working with my lines, I'm working with my circles to try to get something really nice and even. We are humans, we're not perfect, so if it's not, you know, perfect, that's okay. Don't stress out too much about it. So now I have this going on. All right, I like that. And it's all about just kind of letting your mind flow and thinking, what else do I want to put in here? Let me take a look at some of my past ones. All right, maybe I will go in now and use these to make another piece, but actually make it a little thicker. And I'm going to bring that line all the way down. So we'll make this diamond a little bit thicker. And transferring these onto your bowls is going to be super, super simple, especially once you have a nice, clean, crisp drawing. All we're going to be doing is putting it onto a tracing paper and then applying it onto your leather hard slab bowl. And then we're going to go in and we're going to do the fun part, the painting. And I could probably sit here and draw mandalas all day. What I really wanted you guys to take from this video is how to set it up and then how to really just go in and kind of like brainstorm ideas. Just kind of flow with it. Don't be afraid to mess up. If you mess up, we could always start fresh. There's always that option, so don't be nervous. So in between these, let me see what I want to do. I think I might go in and actually start bringing this up a little bit more. And rather than doing a bunch of small shapes, you can also focus on larger shapes and then filling them in with detail. So that's what I want to show you in just like this very last little flower petal I'm going to draw. That your mandala does not have to have like a million bajillion little pieces like this. It could be larger pieces and they could be highly decorative within. So something to think about. Okay. So one of my favorite patterns to do is to actually go in and almost make like fish scales in a way. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to break this up one more time. And you could see I'm going from like a symmetrical spot and it is radiating outward. So I'm just really lining it up and bringing it together. The reason I want to add this in, and you'll see when I go to do like the scale type pattern, is it's not going to like break right when it meets up with here. So I'm going to go in now and I'm just going to draw some little scales. And these are kind of fun because it's just like every other. If you want to like play around with it a little bit different, you can. They could get smaller, they could get larger. There's really no right or wrong way to do them. And so I'm just going in. I'll probably fill in like these whole pieces. Eventually, you're gonna wanna fill in majority of the paper. Obviously the size of your mandala is gonna depend on the size of your bowl. I did cut the paper though, so that it's gonna make sense with a lot of the forms that we have in class that are created that we're gonna be using to make the drape bowls over. And it's kind of hard to talk in mandala. I usually like to listen to some music. Maybe I'll put on some like meditation music in class. If you guys want to listen to your own music, that's totally fine too. And yeah, I'm just trying to play around with that. And it keeps being like every other, creating a variety of petals, a variety of geometric forms, and just building and building and building. So this is where I got in, I don't know, maybe I've been filming this for 10 minutes or so. And then I would eventually want to get somewhere here. This one, I kind of messed up, so I just filled it in like that. So if you do have a mistake and you feel like, oh, I could just paint that a color when I'm ready, you could totally go ahead in and blank it out. One more little thing I'm going to add in, and these are really quite popular, is doing like these little, almost like little like evil eye type things, where you're going in like that, creating a bubble, and then filling it in on top. And you'll see that this is a super popular mandala pattern. We're probably going to work on these for about 2 days or so in class. So, you know, no rush. I want you guys to get a really nice, really meaningful design down before we go too much into the next step, which would be creating your bowl. And I think you're gonna love making your bowls and then applying these. They always come out so pretty. we're also going to go over underglaze painting techniques. So you guys will have a whole bunch of like, you know, inventory of skills by the time we're done with this. And I think it'll help you too moving into glazing some of your other projects. And I always say when I make these videos that I'm not going to focus on a specific project because I might want to use it for something else. But that didn't happen once again, but that's okay. That is okay. Maybe I want to bring this out here a little bit more. Now you could strictly like stick with floral designs. I like doing mine a little bit more like Art Deco. If you want to think Art Deco, think of like The Great Gatsby. That would be like a very Art Deco time period. And I just really like that. And continue. Like I said, if you want to even like start a random pattern in here, you can. Usually you're going to want to end though having a more organic ending so that it flows nicely to the edge of your bowl. I'm going to be working on a whole bunch of these, but hopefully this makes sense and that you guys are good to go. So just a refresher, step 1 is to make an X on your paper with a ruler. And then you're going to take the center point and you're going to go like a plus sign. After that, if you would like to get some lines in here to work, whether it be completely line by line or whether it be just as another guide, we're going to go in with our compass and we're going to set everything up. And then I'm going to have you guys just go in and start working, start making some fun patterns. I have a whole bunch of paper in class. We'll play around, we'll have a lot of fun, and then we'll start getting these pieces going.